Thank you. So as Karen said, my name is Brenda. I live in New Jersey. I'm about an hour away from New York. In 2018, my daughter Ashley was on her way home from work. It was January 23rd, and she got into a head-on collision, and they did try to medevac her out to the hospital. She passed away in the hospital. They tried life-saving measures. They were unable to save her. Of course, I mean, I'm sure everybody has lost somebody at some point. When Ashley crossed over, her and I had raised Ashley from the time she was about 3 by myself. Her father and I had separated. So we were very, very close. In the beginning, my house was so filled with people that it was often hard for me to be able to concentrate or just to have, your thoughts are just rambling. Within a couple of hours of the police coming and then leaving, I would see shadows moving throughout the house that I knew I saw shadows. I couldn't pinpoint who it was. I knew about the afterlife. I didn't really know as much as what I know now. But probably after the house finally started to settle down was about a week or two after everything had happened. And of course, when everybody leaves, that's when it's the hardest, because then you're faced with yourself and your thoughts, and things going through your mind are not always so good. So within a couple of weeks, I had gone back to work because I thought it would probably be the best idea for me to return to work and not be home by myself. She started to send me, I think, different signs, but I wasn't always catching them. I would find feathers and the common things that they try to send to you. One evening I returned home from work and I had been reading a book, and I don't remember who the medium was that wrote it, but I had been asking Ashley, am I still going to be your mom? And I remember I went out on the porch by our house and I was just crying hysterical and asking her that question. How do I know you're going to remember me? How do I know you're not going to forget me? And she came through and she said, I need you to calm down. My back was facing a chair where she would always sit when we were talk. And she was just saying, I need you to calm down. You're always going to be my mother. I'm never going to leave you, and saying things like that. When I went back in and started reading the book that I had been reading, the medium had gone up to a parent that she was doing a demonstration for, and she had given the exact message to a mom that was at the back of the room. And I thought, that's a weird coincidence that this medium would have pretty much just answered my question. After that, I started to learn how to try and meditate, which I hadn't ever done before. So I went into Ashley's room and I started to concentrate on my breathing, which I had read in a book is what they told you to do. And I started to fall asleep, and she came in with such high energy. And she said, I can only stay for a minute, Mom. I'm going to a dance. And I was half asleep. And I said to her, you're going to a dance. Who's going? Don't put your drink down. It's what time are you going to get back? Don't get back late. And she started laughing and she said, there's no time here, Mom. She said, I'll be fine. It's a dance for all the new kids to get to meet each other. And I thought, this is crazy, when I came out of what I thought was a sleep type of state. And I went back to the room. I figured I'll try it again the next day, which I did. And the next day when I went into her room and tried it again, it was around the same time. And she came through and she said, I met this really hot guy. And I was thinking, this is definitely my imagination. And again, I was in that sleep sort of state. And so I had done a Helping Parents Heal meeting, and Kat Bailey, who's from the UK, had come through and she was doing a demonstration. So at the end, I asked her if I could message her to just go over some things that had been happening with me. So she instantly sent me a video request on Facebook Messenger. And she started connecting to Ashley without me asking her to. But the one thing that she said was, I have to make sure I don't screw this message up. And she said, because I need to ask you, are you meditating? And I said, well, I'm trying to, but I don't know if I'm doing it correctly. And she said, you are. She said, you have to keep communicating with her because you're one of the few that are going to be able to hear her so clearly. And she said, but the second thing that she doesn't want me to screw up is she's saying she met this really hot guy. And so it was at that point that I realized that I was actually hearing Ashley. And so I started to increase my meditation. I would do it in the morning. I would do it in the evening. And I think when you open yourself up to different things and you start to allow more in. So I would start to get messages from guides, which I hadn't heard of guides before. I had always been, I think, sort of connected. My father passed away when I was young, and he came through to me when I was about almost 10. He passed away when I was 9. And he came through in a series of dreams for almost a week straight. And he told me things that only my mom had known about at that point, and my grandparents. So I would question my mom about it, and she wanted to know where I was getting the information from. And I told her it was from my father. The last dream that he came through, he said to me, "And I'm not dead." And I thought, and so I told my mother that, and she said, "Everything he's told you so far is true, but I can assure you he is dead. We've gone to the cemetery." It's not until now that I realize what he was saying. He's really, he really didn't die. He just moved on to his next phase of life. So I've heard from different guides. I started to journal everything that would happen. I would write down the dates next to it, so I would have a clear account of what was going on when I would meditate. I started to have what I found out later was astral experiences, where I would go over to the other side. I don't know if anybody's seen the front of the book cover. When I had decided to write this book, I didn't know a title for it, and I went back and forth with titles for quite a long time until I asked Ashley if she would help me with a title, because I was about to pick one of the other titles. And in the morning I woke up, and that was the title. The title that was in my head was called Bonded by Love, My Daughter in Heaven. And pretty much I just listed down everything that had happened, things that had opened up for me after she had crossed over, both through the meditation experiences, from meeting other parents, from joining different groups. I had gone to a seance with Scott Thompson. I'm sorry, why am I losing my train of thought? I went to a seance with Scott Milligan about maybe about a year, close to a year after everything happened. And Ashley was one of the few communicators who came through. And she gave me validating information. And I guess I had read things about it where I wondered why it wasn't fully her voice or things like that. But then I had read different information about it. But the information that she came through with in the seance was information that only she would know, or validating evidence that only she would be able to provide to me. So that was one of my first seance experiences. In Boston, I had also met Sonia Rinaldi. And I had asked her if she would be able to connect with Ashley, because I had saw some of the work that she did. And Ashley had told me, if you can meet Sonia, I'll come through to her. But I knew Sonia was in Brazil, so I didn't know how I was going to be able to get a chance to meet her. And Scott, of course, lived in the UK. So I had asked her if there was any way she could work on that. And when I came home from work one day, I saw that they were going to be both of them were going to be in Boston at the same time. So after I met them, when I came back from Boston, Sonia and I ended up doing a Zoom session together. And she brought through, I was allowed to ask Ashley a series of questions, and then Sonia would go back and review the information later so she could listen for any communication that couldn't be picked up by the human ear without recording devices. And Ashley did come through with a number of different messages, which Karen was helpful enough to help me with all of those, because I've been having some computer errors for the last couple of days. So when we get to that point, Karen can share the screen and she can play the audios for everybody. I probably have read more books in the last 2 years than what I've read in my entire life, because when you're a parent and a child crosses over, you never stop being a mom. You just, you never stop being their parent. You want to know that they're okay and where exactly they're at. And I didn't believe it was so much what I had been taught in the biblical sense as to where Ashley was. So it was important for me to find out where she was and if she was all right. I'm trying to think. I know I'm a little bit all over the place. I had also gone to a David Thompson seance about a year ago, and that was remarkable. Ashley didn't come through in that one, but I was able to hear Louis Armstrong. He came through singing, which I just think is outstanding, to have somebody who's singing in front of you in the room who has passed away so many years ago. So that was something special. She also has been able to send me Instagram alerts to my phone. So I do have a series of pictures, which I would ask her a question. I had taken a snapshot of it, but I would ask her a question and she would say, she would give me an answer, but I wasn't always able to hear her if I was deep in depression. And she would end up sending me, I don't get them anymore, but she would send me an Instagram alert where it would say like Ash Cardone's follows, and whoever it would be that maybe I was asking her about. In particular would have been a good friend of mine. Her brother-in-law had passed away in a car accident 8 months to the day of Ashley's accident. And he did come through to me as soon as he crossed over. And when he did cross over, I could see his guide behind him. I didn't know that it was a guide at that time, but he came through and he was smiling ear to ear. His car accident was very horrific where it caught fire. So there wasn't really much left of him. And he just looked perfect. And his guide was standing behind him. And I remember him saying, I said, "Are you okay?" And he goes, "Look at me." He was like, "Don't I look good?" And I was like, "Yeah, you look just like I always remember you looking." And I would find out later on that he had come through to me because he did try to get through to his brother. And when he tried to talk to his brother, he started crying. So he figured, well, let me move on to the next person who's able to see me. That's, I think, because I'm not so connected to him. So Ashley has sent me Instagram alerts when I've asked her if she's with AB, and I'll get an Instagram alert on my phone saying that she follows him. So I know that they're friends. They were friends here, obviously, but they're friends on the other side too. And she's just opened up a whole world for me. I feel like when I didn't have the strength to fight for my own life because I was ready to give up. The only thing I was consumed with was joining her. And she kept telling me, "You have work to do. You can't come over here yet. Your job is not done. I promise you we're going to be together for eternity, but you have to finish out what we set out to do." And I remember one evening and I talked about this in one of the global meetings briefly, but I remember in one meeting, one evening, I was laying down in bed and I was so upset that night and depressed and crying. And when I'm like that, Ashley can't get through to me. I won't hear her. And so usually somebody will come in and they'll kind of be like the icebreaker, I think, to sort of probably raise my vibration for me to laugh or just to feel a little bit better. And I was talking to AB, which is the one who had passed away in the car accident, and his real name is Ulysses. And so Ulysses Abraham. And almost instantly I had heard the voice of, I didn't see him clearly, but I could hear his voice and I knew who it was. It was actually Oscar Wilde. And that to me was amazing because I started listening to the Leslie Flint tapes pretty early on. I found them, I love Leslie Flint. I love his work. I love the contribution that he did for people to still be able to listen to this day. But I had listened to a lot of the communication from Oscar Wilde. When he came through to me, his message basically was, you have to stay on this path because it's, you're part of this bigger plan. And I couldn't see the plan. He was telling me I wouldn't be able to see the plan at this point in my life, but that I was part of a bigger plan. He was also arguing with AB because AB didn't want him to call him AB. He didn't want to be called Ulysses. He wanted to be called AB. And he was just such a smart aleck. And I remember thinking, I almost like when you see somebody famous, I was sort of starstruck for a minute. And I was thinking, why are you here talking to me? And he said to me, I could ask the same thing. And he like read my thought instantly. And he said, every morning you would say hello to me. And I thought to myself, who is this woman that's saying good morning to me every day? Because I do a thing every day where I say good morning to anybody who I feel has helped me in some way. And so he said, and I just figured I found out who you were. You were just saying good morning. I ignored it. He said, and then I found out that you had taken an interest in my Leslie Flint recordings. And he said, but still that wasn't enough. And then he ended up finding out that I had a daughter on the other side. And so he told me that he still writes plays and that Ashley performs in the plays. He said that she doesn't have the mind to be able to write a play because I think he doesn't think that too many people are that intelligent from the way that he made it sound. But he also made reference to my nephew who was learning how to play the piano at that time, saying that Chopin had taken an interest in the little one, he called him. And he said, and although it's painful to my ears, he said, everybody has to start somewhere. And though he'll never play at Carnegie Hall, Chopin will influence him to get better. So I was pretty amazed. And when I got done, I came downstairs and I said to my partner, I said, I think I just talked to Oscar Wilde, or I think Oscar Wilde just talked to me. And I had to actually pull up some of his recordings because it had been so long so I could hear his voice on them again to be able to better determine if that was him. So that was one of the few times he has come through to me. Slowly, I would start to hear from different people that Ashley had become friends with. Some of them were the kids from Helping Parents Heal. And I was able to sort of listen to the information they were giving me, and then I would be able to contact, and a couple of the people, I didn't know them. I only knew them from a few meetings that we had gone to. So they wanted me to give the information to their moms, and I didn't want to contact their mothers because I didn't know them, and I thought they're going to think I'm crazy. But I did. I ended up contacting the one woman. Her and I are good friends now, but her son had come through, and he had given me a bunch of different information, and I was able to verify the information with her. So I think it sort of opened up a whole world. Oh, and going back even with the book cover, sorry, I jumped around a little bit. But when I was on the other side, before I realized I was astral traveling, I had been in a forest type of setting. And that's where the cover of the book came from, because I was walking with Ashley hand in hand, and there was so many butterflies hitting us in the chest and in the face. And I don't remember much except for looking up towards the canopy of the trees. And I asked Ashley where the sun was. And I said, I thought it was always bright here. And I could see the sunlight coming through the canopy. So the front of the book cover looks very similar to what I had experienced when I was there. She'll usually try to give me some kind of sign when I come back to let me know that I was in fact with her. So we had gone to a wedding shortly after that in Dominican Republic, and we decided to do one of these excursions. And we drove through, and there was butterflies everywhere, thousands of butterflies flying around, just like it was when I was there. And one actually landed on my foot, and he was there and I was driving this dune buggy thing at the time. So he landed on my foot, and he stayed there for about a good 2 minutes. And, you know, I would think that he would have flown away with the motion of the car. But that was one time when I had astral travel there. Another time had been, we were in a mall. I had told Ashley that I wanted to take her shopping for Christmas because I hadn't been able to take her shopping. And we were suddenly in a mall that I didn't recognize. It didn't look familiar to me. I knew we had gotten lost, and we had to hurry up and leave. And again, I thought to myself, how are you going, when I woke up, I said to Ashley, how are you ever going to prove this one to me? And she said, I'll figure out a way to prove it to you. You know, it's easier than what you think it is. And so I went to work the next morning. My first patient that came in had said to me, do you know how long this is going to take? Because I have to hurry up and get to work. And I said, no, I said, it shouldn't be too long at all, only a few minutes. And then I said, do you work far from here? She goes, no, I'm just up the street at the mall. So I knew that that was Ashley's way of letting me know that I had actually been over there. So I think there's just a lot of different things. It was just a lot of things that have happened to me, and I'm sure that many people here have had similar experiences, especially if you had a close loved one cross over. It's been definitely eye-opening for the last 2 years. I do somewhat subscribe to the life plans or the soul plans.
Brenda, thank you. This is especially meaningful to me as my daughter passed over 20 years ago. And she did give us a lot of signs over the years, and they began to be more and more infrequent. I did see a medium, and she gave me affirmations of my daughter's continued existence. Do you think I could still be in contact after all this time has gone by?
I mean, I believe so. I think that you have a bond with the people that you come here with, whether it's your child or your husband. I do believe in soul families, and I just think that it's a matter of us learning how to communicate with them. I mean, I try to meditate and put it into my daily routine every day. I'm still learning myself. There's a lot of things that I don't know enough about, but I do believe that everybody has the ability to be able to communicate in some form, even if it's meditation, to be able to get in touch with their loved ones. For me, probably quieting my mind can be one of the hardest things for me to do. So a lot of times I'll listen to a guided meditation. Even Craig has a guided meditation that I took full advantage of in the very beginning. For months and months, I would listen to this every day. And when I listened to his meditation, that was one of the first times I was actually able to see Ashley in my mind. She was in my third eye. I was able to see her very clearly, which oftentimes I felt like I was struggling to be able to do. I think with the grief being heavy, sometimes you think you're going to forget what they look like or forget how they sound. So, I mean, I would definitely try meditation, or maybe even try Craig's meditation, because it did work. And I know that it's proven that it's worked for other people also that I've recommended it to.
Thank you.
Sheila had a comment. Perhaps Sheila might like to talk about that one.
Yes, my daughter Jennifer, who was killed by her boyfriend in 2000, is very present constantly. And I mean, not constantly, but frequently. And recently, Sonia, I was one of her group of 30 a couple of years ago, and she got some great pictures, but recently she got some gorgeous current color photos of Jennifer and how she looks now, which I'd love to share if I'm allowed at some point to share the screen. So it doesn't matter how long they've been gone. I hear from my father, who's been gone since 1985. So don't give up, don't worry, you'll hear from her.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the communication with Ashley and I think was more frequent in the beginning. I still talk to her at least once a day now, but there are times, and she tells me it's because she's busy, because she goes, she hates the term when somebody puts RIP or RIH on a picture, like rest in peace or rest in heaven, because she did say to me once, it was a friend of hers that put it on there, and she said, Mom, can you please tell her to stop putting rest in peace? She's like, I'm not resting in peace, I'm busy over here. So I did tell her friend, and most people know how I feel about it, so they won't put that on her pictures anymore, because they do have lives on the other side. I do believe that they're very busy. Not only do they help us, but I also believe that they have full-time jobs. I know Ashley works with small children. She always wanted to be a teacher, so I know she works with small children. And so I do believe that they're around us as much as what they can be when they're not busy with their own lives on the other side.
Thank you.
Thank you. I had a medium once tell me that she was like that she does healing also. I'm not sure. What were you going to say, Wendy?
Thank you. Tony Boyce wanted to say something. Tony?
Well, I could tell you about the one of the most remarkable messages I got came telepathically. I used to write posthumous letters to George, my life partner, in a few months. Well, I still write them on anniversaries, but I was writing them quite regularly, like a sort of diary. Anyway, a friend had said he gave 2 negatives, photographic negatives, to George of me and him sitting in a deck chair. Could I please find the negatives, because he wanted to get prints done. This was some time ago, before digital cameras. I looked at it, we had a box full of negatives. They weren't in there. So in this letter I was writing George, I put PS, if you know where the negatives are, could you please tell me if they were given to you? I wasn't sure they were given to him by this friend. The next day I'm standing in the kitchen. Telepathic message came into my head as clear as a bell. The negatives you were looking for are on the top shelf of the larder. I thought, well, that's ridiculous. Then I climbed up on a chair, and there they were. The 2 negatives I was looking for in an envelope.
There the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Thank you.
It is amazing the things that they can come through and try to communicate to us, from the things that we would consider to be so small and into the the large. I guess they have a limit as to what they are allowed to say to us now. I believe they do.
Thank you. Doris has a question.
Hello, Brenda. So
Hi.
my question is on the astral travel. Did you train for that, or did it come naturally?
No, I didn't even know I was there. I was the first time I ever astral traveled. The very first time I was in my bed communicating with her through meditation, crying hysterical and just saying, I need to be able to see your house. I need to be able to see that you're okay. And suddenly I fell asleep, because sometimes when I'm meditating, I fall asleep. I try not to do it too late, but I fell asleep, and then all of a sudden I was in her house. It was a bedroom that I've never seen before. She had furniture that she doesn't have here. There was shiplap behind her bed that we don't, she doesn't have in her room here. And she had a friend over. And so she told me that she keeps me from being able to do that as much, because I remember it was so weird. I was looking out of her bedroom window, but and my back was to her, but I could see her from behind. And that part I never fully understood, how I was able to see her from behind my head while I was looking out of the window. But she jumped out of the bed and she said, "How did you get here? Oh my God, Mom, how did you get here?" And so she started hugging me and we were talking for a while, and she had this velour outfit on. That was one of the ways too that I ended up seeing those outfits in a store a couple of days after I had that astral experience. I didn't understand what had happened. The only person I knew of at that point that astral traveled was Cyrus. So I asked him, and he did tell me that based upon some of the things I had given to him, the information I had given, that I was in fact astral traveling. I don't know how to do it. I think sometimes they just probably help me to get over there. Sometimes I'll wake up and there's things I remember so vividly, and then there's other times I know that I was there, but I don't remember everything fully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharon Martin?
Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
I have a question. Did your daughter ever talk to you about soul planning, or that she knew this was going to happen while she's gone? Not before it happened. Since she's
No.
no.
Oh, since she's been over?
Yeah, like, did she tell you, Mom, I knew this was going to happen. It's our soul plan? Because that's where I'm at with soul plan. I'm not sure about all that.
That's actually a little bit strange how she did tell me, because I had been asking her over and over again, was this part of a soul plan? And she would never answer me. And even on Sonia's recordings, I said to her, "Ashley, was this part of a soul plan?" And she said, "I felt dead." You can hear her say that very clearly in the recordings. Her anxiety had gotten very bad before she crossed over. And my anxiety had gotten very bad a few months before she crossed over. I mean, if she left the house and I heard an ambulance, I would call her because I thought, "Are you okay?" I think it was my soul's way of letting me know something was going to happen. One afternoon when I came home from work after she had crossed over, and I had already been asking her, I finally decided to stop because she never would fully answer me. One afternoon I was on the back deck and I was watching my partner on the back. He was doing some work in the backyard, and it was such a bad week for me. I mean, and it was months, probably almost a year since she had crossed over. And I couldn't work. I couldn't function. I was just hysterical, crying every time. I would go into the bathroom in between my patients and I just couldn't get a hold of myself. And she came through to me and she said on the back deck, and it was so clear. And she said, "Mom, if I could change this plan that we did, I would change it in a heartbeat, because the pain that you're feeling is breaking my heart." And so even though she hadn't said it was a soul plan, it's almost like to me she had admitted at that point that it was, although I had been asking her. So she did say to me, you know, those words, and it was at that point that I believe it was a turnaround point for me, because I didn't want her to be unhappy on the other side, to be worried about me constantly.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Brendan.
You're welcome.
Lorianne, we have a question.
Yes, thank you. Brenda, hi. Thank you for coming on here tonight.
Hi, thank you.
I think we're New Jersey neighbors. I'm in South Brunswick. Are you somewhere close?
Oh yeah, you're near me. I'm in Bridgewater.
Oh, okay, not that far.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so sorry to hear about your daughter.
Thank you.
Has she ever given you the idea that she can read your thoughts, or do you have to direct your thoughts to her for her to pick them up, or can she just read your mind?
I feel like if I'm really concentrating or directing my thoughts to her, she comes through, because she'll always let me know that she's near me when my left ear starts to itch. Sometimes if I'm meditating, I'll get involuntary muscle twitches, which is sort of weird, but she'll usually always make my left ear itch. When I'm communicating with her, she reads my thoughts instantaneously. Sometimes before I even ask the question, she has already answered it, or she gets ready to answer it.
Okay.
I know she can see my thoughts in other ways, because in the very beginning when I was having some of those, and I hate to say that out loud to people sometimes, but when I was having some of those very dark thoughts, she would come to me and she said, "Your thoughts come to me like words." And she said, you know, I need you to get better. I need you to start to eat. I need you to just to take care of yourself, because you're not taking care of yourself. That was in the very beginning too. There was one evening when I was meditating. It was probably about 6 months in, and I used to just come home from work and I would go to sleep. It was about 6:30, and I would sleep. I was just sleeping constantly, which is not something I normally do. And I woke up, or I fell asleep rather, and I knew she was there in front of me. I could see her. She was a little bit higher than where I was, and she was with her grandfather, her dad's dad. And she was with Avy, but there was other people around that I didn't recognize them. And she said to me, I need you to get better. Your kidneys are shutting down and you don't even know it. And she said, and I need you to start to take care of yourself. You're not meant to be over here yet. And I said to her, if I'm meant to die, then please just let me go because I want to be with you. And she said, you can't, you're not meant to be here yet. And this was before everything happened with me talking to Oscar Wilde and everything. And I remember she had me get up and go to the bathroom that night, like 3 times. And I thought, usually if you're having a dream and you get up to go to the bathroom and you go back to sleep, you don't remember the dream. You just fall back asleep and go back into the next dream. 3 times they were in the same exact position and in the same area still talking to me. And when I had gone to David Thompson's seance, I had met a man there who was a total non-believer, and he's an emergency room doctor. And when we started talking about our experiences, he said that when somebody comes into the ER with their kidneys about to shut down, they give them this medication as a last-ditch effort before they're put on dialysis. And it makes them have to go to the bathroom numerous times. So he believes that maybe the people that were there with her that I couldn't see were some type of doctors, and they had been probably administering something like this to me to help my kidneys at that point. So yeah, she's always paying attention to the things that I'm doing or the thoughts that I'm feeling. Even with the book, I know that they were the ones who pushed me to write the book too. That's wonderful to know, because after my dad's farewell ceremony, one of the songs he sent in the restaurant was the Alan Parsons Project song with "I Could Read Your Mind." Oh, so yeah. I think he was letting me know that he could read my mind. So that was a great comfort to me, because that means I can think of him, and he was going to know that I was thinking of him. And yeah. Listening to you, I don't even have to think of him. He can read them anyway, according to what you said about your daughter. Like she gave you wisdom you didn't even know you needed. She was right there with it. Yeah, that's definitely incredible. So thank you so much. You're welcome.
Thank you, Lorianne. Shannon has a question.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
If you remember me, we were HPH together, unfortunately, but yeah. You're really inspiring me. I want to know, I better read it because I'm nervous. Why is that? Do you sit like in mediumship circles, or are you reading for others now? Because I'm curious, I just want to try do as much as I possibly can to get that connection that you have, because I feel like she's ready, but I'm a moron,
No, you're not a moron. I sit in circles, but I'm not a medium. I believe I can hear my daughter and I can hear others, because I think they must bring them in near like my vibration or something. But I do believe that, it's just my opinion, and I know everybody has varying opinions of this. I know that there's some mediums that are, definitely gifted and they're born and they can see spirits from the time they're little. And I admire that. I wish I could do that also. But I just feel like if we're all spirit inhabiting a body and we're just having an earthly experience, I feel like if we just set our intentions I think meditation is probably one of the hardest things to do, but I think we all have the ability to be able to communicate with our loved ones in one form or another. I do sit in circles. I actually sit in just online groups. I used to sit in a circle in person, but it was in Pennsylvania and I had to go there after work, so it was a little bit far for me. And I also sit in Craig's circle on Wednesday evenings. It's a group that they have for, it's developing physical mediumship, and I don't believe in any way that I'm ever going to be a physical medium, but I believe that it brings us closer just to be able to be closer to the spirit world. And I feel like it strengthens my bond with Ashley and with my guides, because it's a 1 hour that you're taking out of your day once a week to be able to sit for a common cause. And I try not to ever miss the circle either. I don't think I really have in the last couple of years, because I feel like it's important that we show up, because they're showing up to help us. So I do enjoy sitting in circles if I can, yes.
So you see her. So is she the age that, because you hear from different mediums, different things, right? Oh, they appear younger or older,
she did come through in one of Sonia's pictures slightly older than what she was when she crossed over, and she also came through in Sonia's pictures younger. the happiest times for Ashley, I would think before her was probably like between the age of like 9 and 15. So she's even come through to me when I'm meditating, where she'll show me a memory so clearly where I feel like I'm actually stepping back into that moment and I'm watching it out, play out in front of me. I think it's because when she was younger, things were easier. And maybe in some ways, I think her soul also knew, because she used to always tell me, I don't want to grow up. I don't want to get older. And it wasn't that she was afraid of growing old. She didn't want to get older. Maybe in some ways her soul knew that she wasn't going to be here once she reached her 20s very long. She crossed over when she was 26. So she always, for the most part, appears to me the age that she is.
That's ironic. I feel like we all have a little bit of that, because my daughter had told me when she was 15, just randomly out of the blue, that she would pass in her 20s, so 21.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's wild. Well, thank you so much. You're very inspirational.
Thank you.
Love and light to you, girl.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks, Sharon. Lauren has a question. Thank
I
you.
had to unmute myself. Sorry about that. My question was, I meditate often, and I meditate at night. And my question was for Brenda or whoever. When I meditate, lots of times I move. Like my hands start to move. I feel like somebody's actually pulling my hand. I lost my mother, which is going to be in about 2 weeks. It'll be about 15 years. And I always feel she's around me. I do not see her. Only one time when I was very ill in 2012, I was in the hospital, and I did feel like she came to me, and I actually did see like an image of her, and she kept going around the bed and saying, "You're going to be okay," and started patting my face, which was amazing. But to replay that, can't do it. And I wish I don't want to be sick again, but I wish that if there was a way, and I'm just wondering if there was tricks of the trade, or should I not listen to music? Should I do certain things? And I was just putting it out there to everyone else. If other people have experienced this movement that I get, that I don't even know, it's almost like a vibration, but my hands start to move and they go up like they're reaching for something. And one time
I've gotten involuntary movements like that too. I've had the bottoms of my feet will start to vibrate, which is really strange. My arm will just suddenly, make a muscle spasm or something, and it goes flying off my chest. But sometimes when I notice when I go to meditate, it's almost like an in-between state where I'm awake, but I'm conscious, where I can hear things, but I'm almost like asleep. And I will get the involuntary muscle twitches, or my arm will just suddenly move, or my leg will jerk. Somebody did tell me that when they're close to your auric field, that your body will respond to that. So you'll feel these involuntary muscle twitches happen.
And I clam up. And also my husband once thought he saw like a light right around my hand at night, because I woke him. And yet I was in this meditated state, and I said, "What is that?" Like I was there and not there. And he saw like this like light coming from my hand, which was weird. And I was doing a lot of Reiki at one point. I'm a Reiki master, so I said maybe that was it. But anybody I ever spoke to, nobody knew what are you talking about, is what they're saying. So I was just curious if you or anybody had that, and is there a way of making it progress more or whatever? Because I would love to astral travel, but it's not happening.
I mean, the one evening when I was meditating, I had fallen into sort of like that sleep, that sort of in-between stage. And my cat is the one who woke me up. He actually climbed right on top of my chest, and the room was pitch dark, and my partner came up from downstairs, and the cat jumped right on top of my chest, and he was just staring at me. And when my partner came in the room, he saw like a light glowing sort of around me. And it was the cat's weight that woke me up, because he's a little bit chubby. And it automatically, when I came out of it, I said to him, and I looked over at the clock on the dresser, and it said 11:11. But it took me a second to look at that. And I said to him, I was just talking to my guides. And he goes, "How do you know?" And I said, I felt I could see them. It was two people in front of me, but I don't remember a word of what was said. Wow. And the cat must have been able to sense their energy too. But also, Acacio was able to see the glow that was sort of around me. So I didn't see any of that. So I'm not sure. I usually, when I sit down, I'll ask my guides to allow me to have at least some time to talk with Ashley and my loved ones before they come in, and then I ask them to come in and if they can train me or teach me whatever I can do to be of assistance to both sides, here and there.
That's good to know. I appreciate that. One last question too. My dog sometimes would stare into space and there's nobody there. And you'd see his head move. I mean, we could be sitting and watching TV and I'll see him move. And it's like the weirdest thing. Does your cat ever do so? I mean, like somebody's in the
Yeah.
room, but we don't see that.
Yeah, my cat has, I know Ashley has actually played with our cat before. When we
Oh.
first got him, we brought him home from the shelter, and I happened to find him by accident. His name is Ash. And I had
Oh.
asked her to send me a cat because her cat had crossed over. And so I went to the shelter and I ended up finding him. His name was Ash. And probably the first day I brought him home, he went right into her bedroom and wouldn't come out for a couple of hours. A couple of days later, where I have a little memorial area in the living room set up for her, he was in the window looking out, and he jumped down from the living room window and went right over to her table, jumped on top, and he started swinging at something that was in the air that I couldn't see. So I know she must have been playing with him.
Oh, that's nice. I'm sorry for your loss too anyway, but
Thank
it's
you.
nice to know she's around you, giving you messages.
Thank
Thank you. You are an inspiration. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Gary Langley has a question.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Brenda, thank you so much for sharing your story. And I just wanted to give you something to ponder. And you mentioned that she didn't really answer you about the life plan thing. But
Mhm.
from my reading, it seems like into that life plan, we have built-in exit points that we may or may not take. So I think maybe the life plan is not really so fixed. We could choose to leave earlier. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, actually, when you said that just now, it had prompted something else that she had said. We had bought a house, and we were living in the house only for a few years when she crossed over, and she had said to me during meditation, I was supposed to have left earlier. And she said, or I could have left earlier, something along those lines. She goes, I chose to stay longer because you bought the house for us. And I knew that, how important it was. So I do believe she was supposed to have left probably around 18, 19, and she stayed for a few extra years because she knew I needed her, I'm sure. But thank you.
Thank you so much for your story. It's inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, Karen, do you want to share the EVPs before actually, there's one recording that Ashley came through on Sonia's, and I asked her if she was happy. You don't hear me saying, are you happy? But she says, this is great. She'll say in this exact tone, this is great to be dead. Like her voice goes up when she says, it's great to be dead. And I thought to myself, it's only great for you.
Okay, can everyone see my sharing?
Yes.
That I'm sharing? Okay. So which one of these do you want played, sweetheart?
Hold on, let me zoom in, Karen. Number 66. That's the one. Down one. Yep.
66. Okay.
Yeah.
Can
everybody hear that?
Do you want that turned down a bit?
No, I think that's good. Can everybody hear? And then.
Does everyone hear that?
Not really.
Okay.
No, it's hard to hear it.
I heard it.
Try it again. Once more.
You hear the this is great and dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what are the other ones that we had gotten, Karen, from Sonia? And number 11. I used to always pray the rosary, but so she's saying, you pray, we always hear.
That your mom will talk to you tomorrow.
Okay, I'll play that one again.
Are you aware that your mom will talk to you tomorrow?
Okay. Do you want that one played again? It's fairly clear. She says, you pray, we're always here.
Are you aware that your mom will talk to you tomorrow?
Communicating quality here.
And
Okay.
then, what were the other ones that we had, Karen?
Yeah, I can find you.
Oh, yeah, I can find you as an interesting. So you want to do 83 and 65, and then
Okay.
How much time have I spent with you in the astral?
Yeah, finally it was.
She says, yeah, I did find you.
How much time have I spent with you in the astral?
Yeah, finally it was.
Okay. Did everyone hear that one?
Yeah, that's clear. They're muted, Karen. They can't answer you.
Oh, I'm just going by head, nod head. Okay. Number
number
103,
no 65.
65.
Yeah.
Ashley, when I'm meditating with you, am I really hearing you, or is some of what I'm hearing coming from my own mind?
Sounds pretty good.
Ashley, when I'm meditating with you, am I really hearing you, or is some of what I'm hearing coming from my own mind?
Okay.
And then
Ashley, when I'm
yeah, that's
Sorry.
with you, am I really hearing you, or is some of what I'm hearing coming from my own mind?
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to push that again. Yes, sweetheart, which one? 94?
either one, 94 or 103, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Please leave a message, a beautiful message to your mom. Please leave a message, a beautiful message to your mom.
So that's another pretty clear one. I'm grateful and I love you. Okay, so 103. Whoa, that one went fast. I'm just going to turn the volume down a little bit on that. Okay. Everyone okay with that one? All right, that was very clear. Thank you, Doris. Okay, and did we miss any at all, sweetie?
Nope, you got them all. Thank you.
We got them all. Okay, so I'll stop sharing. And
yeah, when I had asked her the all fine and happier, I had asked her if she was happy, and she says all fine and happier. On the one where she says, yeah, I find you, I was wondering, I was there on one evening that I didn't know I was there, and I saw a group of kids, and I don't even remember saying anything to them, but I remember thinking, where's Ashley? And all of a sudden one of the kids went to go get her, and I was in like some kind of apartment complex that I've never seen, and she came back and she goes, oh, there you are, and she grabbed my hand. She goes, we have to go this way. And then I don't remember anything else. So I think that's what she was referring to. Like, I must just wander around over there sometimes at night, and she's like, I find you. So we must send out some kind of mental vibration to them, and so she finds me, or her friends know who I am, and they're probably like, your pain in the butt mom is here one more time.
I don't think it'd be like that.
Christina R. had a question.
Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
Thank you for coming this morning for me, but thank you. I just wonder whether when Ashley said to you, you can't come, you have work to do you have any idea what that work might be?
I mean, I don't. She's always said that I would help a lot of people. I hoped that by writing the book, it would help people, and then maybe I'll come back and communicate with you guys from the other side. But I think that would be too easy. She's not letting me over there yet. So yeah. I'm not sure exactly what it's going to be, but she told me that I'll help other people, a lot of people.
Right. Have you felt happier since you know that she's making contact?
I do. I definitely believe that she's the reason why I'm still here, because I do believe that she saved my life. I think she knew that she didn't want me to come over yet because AB had even said one time, don't screw this up. I don't want to go back there. He said, I like it here. Don't screw this up. And so I guess a lot of it's dependent on whatever plan I must have decided with them that I'm going to do before I come home. And so I don't want to have to come back either. So I'm just going to have to stay here until I figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anne McGarity is asking, what did you use to get the EVPs?
The ones from Sonia just now. I don't know what Sonia uses. Maybe Karen or somebody who works with her more does. I had gotten regular EVPs from a friend of mine. Her name is Sharon. She's gotten me very clear EVPs also. I think she just uses something called
Audacity.
Audacity, yeah. She uses that. Oh yeah, because Karen tried to download those and we were having a problem because they were sent through to my Facebook Messenger. Yeah, Sonia Rinaldi was the one who did the other ones.
Jane Lentz asked if Craig Hogan runs the Wednesday night meetings. Perhaps Craig could answer that one.
Yeah, Rob Blackburn and I have originated the meetings. Now it pretty much is run by those who attend, and Brenda is an integral part of that. But we have a wonderful evening on Wednesday evenings. Tamara is there as well. And what we do is we get together and we just sing and enjoy ourselves, raise our spirits, and then wait for things to happen in our individual locations.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Craig. Okay.
I think that's all the questions.
Hi, Brenda. Thanks very much indeed. It was very good.
Thank
Can you tell me a little bit about how you were prompted to write your book?
I don't really even know at what point it happened. I had been writing down everything in the journal that had been happening to me for the first the first year and a half. And then one day I just started to type on the computer and I don't know why the words felt like they flowed so effortlessly and I'm not a writer and I'm sure probably some of it showed in my verbiage because I don't have a huge extended vocabulary, but I just decided to start writing it. And when I did, it was weird. I could actually feel the room fill up with people. There was a couple of times where when I got to certain parts in the book, when I recounted her accident, I had to take a break and go outside. And Ashley had said, she goes, just step away from the computer and go outside for a few minutes. And, but I don't really know at what point it was that made me start writing it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I feel like in some ways they influenced it.
Yeah. So you didn't have sort of any thoughts that popped into your mind or that you have to go and start writing at particular times during the day?
No, I actually was, I was off for a week of vacation from work and that's when I wrote it. I wrote it in 1 week. I didn't, even though it was on the computer, I went back and read it a few times, but it sat on my computer for probably a few months before I ever actually looked into publishing it or doing anything with it.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Thanks very
automatic
much.
writing, Sheila.
Yeah.
It does, because
Yep.
we know that automatic writing can be on the computer or by hand or lots of different ways. And we have our meetings for automatic writing on the first and third Wednesday evening at 5:30 Pacific time. Anybody is welcome to join us.
Okay.
Wouldn't you go into like a trance-like state when you're automatic writing? I don't know
No.
enough about it.
No,
Well, you should go to our
I
meeting.
don't. I automatic write and I don't go into a trance. I don't think so.
No.
Sherry Pearl, who is on now, does have a training program online, and anybody can do the EVPs. So it's just a matter of understanding the techniques. So if you go to her website, then you'll be able to find them.
Sherry, can you type into the chat your website, please, sweetheart, so people can get to know where to go to for EVPs?
Thank you very much, Brenda. I have a lovely daughter and we're very close, and I just think, oh gosh, if I lost her, I'd be really wanting to be in touch. So I'm so glad for you that you have been, and it's such a privilege, isn't it, really? Although, you're always at the back of your mind think, God, is it just, as you did, is it just my mind, But no, I think you really got some comfort from that. And so I think that's wonderful. Thank you very much for coming on. And
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you, you also.